Mark, has anything embarrassing ever happened while you guys were dating?
Nah, not at all. So, there were two really good ones. The first one, we were at a movie one time, and it was all quiet. It was, I don't know if it was a very stressful time in the movie or whatever, but it was very quiet, and we had bought Pam wanted some lemon drops, and right in the middle of this big quiet spot, she drops the lemon drops, and they start hitting the ground, and it was a slanted movie theater, so they're rolling down, and it's just like 100 marbles hitting the floor, just bouncing, and everybody started laughing. It was really funny. So that was one. And then there was one other time that was also funny. We grew up in Ohio, and the skiing there's only one place to ski, and the hills are about this high. And this was the first time we ever went skiing, and I was at the top of the quote-unquote mountain. Again, it was just a big hill. And there was a ski school at the bottom, and again, this was our first time, so we weren't very good, but Pam was going down, and I was watching her, and I was gonna go next, and she went down, and she just wiped out the whole ski school. It was so funny. They were just tumbling like dominoes. She went through because she couldn't figure out how to stop. So I blame that on my college roommate. He was supposed to be our instructor.
We were at one of those group dates, big group of people. And
took the whole school out. It was great.
Yeah, I looked up at him, and he couldn't even ski down. He was laughing too. Why are all these embarrassing moments my stuff? What about your stuff?
I don't know. You got anything?
I'm sure I do.
Before you get married in the Catholic Church, you meet with the priest first, and they at least then, 20 years ago, and they would interview you. You'd take a series of questionnaires, and then the priest would sit down with you and counsel you. And one of the things the priest said for us, we were both youngest of three, and they said, you're gonna have to get over that because you're used to getting your way, you're used to being the favorite, or whatever, however they put it. And then we went to a day retreat, and one of the exercises, the priest or whoever was holding it, they just took a blank piece of paper and they said, each of you hold that paper and try to talk the other person out of it. And then once somebody has a paper, you can sit down, because everybody was standing up, and there were probably 30 couples, so 60 people in the room, and we're standing there sort of near the front, and we're going back and forth trying to talk the other person out of the paper. And after about 10 minutes, everyone else in the room is sitting down, and they finally said, okay, you two can just both hold the paper and sit down. And so it was neat that the priest picked up on that right away and said, this is something you're going to need to work on. And
we're still working on it. We're still working on that one.
It was just a piece of paper.
It was just a piece of paper. Which
yeah, this is it right here. And it's mine.
However,
talked about.
Yeah, however, when you went to ask my father for permission to marry me.
And we were so nervous, we didn't hardly eat dinner that night, because we were going to ask her dad I was going to ask her father for her hand in marriage. And so we are just barely eating our dinner that night.
I'm relatively young at the time.
And she's the only child, and so afterwards I finally get the courage and say that we've been knowing each other for some time now, and we really like each other, and we've been talking about getting married, and would like to ask your permission if I could marry your daughter. And her dad hit a pipe, and he went, it seemed like he puffed on that pipe forever. And then he finally said, well, I think it'll be all right now.
And that's the way it happened.
Yeah. And he said, we always liked you, Joel.
Oh.
You're not Irish at all?
No, well, he's
my mother is
half
Irish, yeah.
yes.
She's McLaughlin.
But my dad was a very quiet, sweet, gentle man, and when he talked, you really listened, because he wasn't like a big talker, but he took his time there to think this out, and then,
Yeah, it seemed like it took an hour, but it was probably no more than 15 seconds, Yeah, oh boy, what's the verdict going to be? Yes, no?
Oh, yes, yes.